Straight people of Reddit, what's the gayest thing you've done? I was in basic training. The showers in basic were just this square room with shower heads all around the outside, and a small, 4 feet, opening on the end to go in and out. Well, in basic training, they tend to hurry you up a little bit whenever you do anything. In a rush to get out, I side-shuffled face to face with this other guy that was coming in through that opening. Somehow, our dicks contacted damn near at the base, and slid alongside each other, like a cool handshake or something. We looked into each other's eyes, and he said we will never speak of this. And I said yep. Best friend is gay. He's a couple years older than me, so he has been going to bars for a while before I turned 21. He had a gay bar that he loved and would always talk about the new friends he made there, and since he was from the deep south, and kinda newly out, he just felt like he finally had people that got him. Anyway, the day I turned 21, instead of going to some club or something, I went to his gay bar, watched a drag show, and my buddy bought me some shit where a super ripped bartender put his legs around me and gave me a shot poured from a shot glass with his mouth about 2 inches from mine. It was honestly fun as shit, and I'm a very secure dude, so it was all in fun. I'll even admit, it was kind of fun to be hit on like I was some sort of super stud. When I was in the military, my good friend moved into my apartment with my ex-wife and me for about 6 months. We got drunk one night and pissed into the same toilet, at the same time, with the door open. We got some good laughs out of my ex. I'd like to think that's why we did it, but mostly, I think it was a measuring contest. When I was a teenager, I was pretty flexible and tried sucking my own dick. I was able to touch it with my tongue the first time I tried. I kept trying. Ultimately, I was able to get about an inch in my mouth, which was enough to give myself a good enough BJ to cum. So, I guess you could say I've sucked enough dick to know I don't really like sucking dick. Accidentally kissed my friend at a Halloween party. We were all up in each other's face for a mock aggressive stare down. So I made the kissy face to be funny. We were closer together than I thought. He said I was a good kisser. Tried to crank it to gay porn just to check. Didn't work, but I didn't know about incognito mode or clearing history, so that was a fun talk with my parents. Young me was an idiot. Held my brother's dick for him so he could piss. He had an arm in a sling and had managed to throw his other shoulder out drunk as fuck in Vegas. This was in the early days of my college career when I'd go see my friends at another college. After partying during the day/night, 4 of us would pile into a single double bed and spoon. A few times one of us would call out spoon change to signal it was time for us all to turn over and face the opposite direction. Edit, username checks out, I get it lol. On the bells at New Year's this year, I kissed my other straight dude friend. Everyone else there was a couple and we decided to show them up by being more passionate. We were very drunk. I didn't remember it until 2 weeks after. Good times. Edit, by passionate I mean that we were really going for it. No tongues, but it was sloppy. Wasn't really passionate LMAO. Was 12 years old or so at my friend Ty's house. He was maybe 10, offered me $20 to make AX with our winers. Needless to say, later that day I bought myself 2 12-packs of soda and some bags of chips. My best friend was sad. His boyfriend of a number of years cheated on him, and so my friend dumped him. He was most upset. He had booked a trip for a bear/cub retreat in northern CA. It had been a year or so since we had actually seen each other, so I suggested he go and I would come up and we could spend some time together and go wine tasting. And that's what happened. But the night I showed up was the bear/cub ball. So I was his date. We grew up together, it was strictly platonic. He's more my brother, but I learned that night I'm considered a bear. We came in second place in the ball. So much back hair. Rip pool drain. We laugh about it still and I love him very much. He met another man that weekend and they celebrated their 5th anniversary last Pi Day. Had to hold my buddy's hand while the doctor played hand puppet with his prostate. I had a sleepover at my friend's house when I was 13, and we laid out some blankets and fell asleep in his living room. I woke up first to him spooning me, and I didn't move at all because I wanted to avoid any awkward moment in our friendship by having us both know of that cuddle moment, so I laid there as still as I could for maybe 30 minutes until he woke up and quickly but carefully got off of me. I then got up 10 minutes later, and that moment now doesn't exist in our friendship. Slapped my friend's ass and then kicked it after he stole my strepsils because his voice sounded horrible during a residential school trip. In the night he slapped my ass again, so I slapped it back. It ended up being a fight until like 12 in the night. All other 6 kids who was watching joined in the fight. That meant everyone was slapping each other's ass. Was in the boys' room. Me and my best bud, at the time, accidentally interlocked our ass cheeks in bed together. What is a childhood coping method you unknowingly developed only to realize later that it wasn't normal? Eating too fast. I remember noticing this even as a child still. I was always done first. And I never outgrew it. Neglect and abandonment issues. I learned to lie rather convincingly. I was petrified of getting in trouble for the smallest things that I learned to hide quite a bit. I had such high anxiety as a kid. Cleaning or doing things behind the scenes for my family so they're always happy, life goes smoothly and my life is serene. The latter isn't the case unfortunately, I'm exhausted and always on edge. Saying I am sorry all the time. Dissociation and maladaptive daydreaming, I just learned that's an actual thing with a name. Shutting down when faced with confrontation. Hiding in the closet. Making my voice as monotone as possible to prevent people, my parents, from picking up on any tiny hint of emotion. My parents would lose their shit if I had a tone or sounded upset in any way. It's taken years and years of practice to regain some emotion in my voice again. Deleted. Escaping into my head. I don't do it much anymore, but as a kid and teen I lived there. I can also walk into a room and sense immediately if something is about to go down, and spot dodgy people on the street from a block away. My wife on the other hand is completely oblivious. I can't have an aspiration or a dream because I don't want to disappoint myself. Like, I can't even say that I am gonna get a good grade on a specific subject out loud, cause I am scared I will disappoint myself. Same thing with other things in life, when I apply for a specific college I will just do it and ignore it until I get a result, because I don't want to get my hopes up and end up not getting accepted. I can't even have a New Year's resolution cause somehow I think I would fail and I would rather already expect that than get my hopes up and fail. I am scared of being disappointed in myself. Listening for the smallest sounds. Before I was old enough and had enough money to move out, when I was a teen I could hear the faint sound of the garage door opening because it would always squeak when it opens, and then I would bolt upstairs to my room because the garage opening meant that my mom was home. I can distinguish her footsteps easily. I developed a hypersensitivity to sound because of her. Blocking out all background noise to avoid emotional damage from whatever's going on. Trying to think/mentally prepare myself for every possible horrible thing that could happen to me, so that if it did, I wouldn't be blindsided. It didn't work. I want to add that my mother died in a freak accident when I was a boy and I was blindsided. My coping mechanism was to prepare for situations where a friend or family member is killed out of the blue etc. so I wouldn't be caught off guard again. It caused me severe stress and the inability to relax ever. I am older now and therapy has done wonders for me. Not doing anything till the last minute so I feel pressured to do it and when I finish doing it I feel useful. What's a scientific experiment you'd be fascinated to see the results of, but could never be conducted due to ethical concerns? I'm curious what happens if I isolate a person from, say, the color blue until the age of 10 and then put her in a room full of blue things. What could happen if you can join 2 brains in a way that allows them to communicate? How long can we prolong human life by replacing failing organs and whatnot with ones harvested from clones? How a child would turn out with exactly 0 human contact, just very basic necessities met by robots. It would be interesting to see exactly how animalistic we are at the core. How many people would I need to throw off the Empire State Building before the pile is big enough for them to survive the fall? I'd love to see the results of more twin studies done under controlled circumstances, but splitting up twins just because I'm curious about what makes people tick. Neural transplants want to see someone use someone else's body for a bit. 1. Give a baby a proportioned weight vest all its life, increasing the weight as it gets older. When it's 11, will it be able to jump as high as all the other kids because its body has adapted? If yes, when we take it off can it jump much higher? 2. How strong can we get a gorilla by giving it a bench press set? I would not support either of these experiments for ethical reasons IRL, but they would be cool. See if we can persuade a group of wolves to raise a child. Any experiment that checks to see if a medicine is safe for pregnant ladies to consume would require trials of pregnant ladies consuming the medications before we knew the medications were completely safe. There are precious few pregnancy category A medicines. Most medications, like acetaminophen aka Tylenol, given to pregnant women are under category B, animal reproduction studies have failed to demonstrate a risk to the fetus, and there are no adequate and well-controlled studies in pregnant women. Dr. Kurt Richter conducted an experiment with rats that essentially concluded that the presence of hope could prolong the ability to stay alive when faced with life-threatening circumstances. During the first part of the experiment, rats were put in a bucket of water. After about 15 minutes the rat would begin to drown. The scientist plucked the rat out of the bucket of water merely seconds before death. After a couple of days the scientist repeated this process. However, instead of drowning after 15 minutes of treading water, some of the rats survived for up to 2.5 days. The scientist concluded that the rats were able to continue swimming because they retained the hope of being rescued, as this is what they experienced during the first trial. It would be interesting to see how the concept of hope influences humans under similar circumstances. I'd create an exact clone of me as a baby and send him to be raised somewhere else, by people who are as different from my parents as I can find, then meet up with him once he's, say, 30, and see how differently we turned out in terms of personality. Edit, thanks for the silver, kind stranger. It would be cool if we could somehow bring back different species of human that went extinct. Like Neanderthals, Denisovans, etc., and see how they'd differ, if at all, from us if raised in a modern society. It's been talked about, but likely will never happen due to ethical concerns. I'd like to know how much of a human body could be replaced by cybernetics. I imagine we have / could make a good enough equivalent to quite a few organs, but other organs I doubt could be replaced as easily. It would also be interesting to see the mental impact of having so much of your body replaced. Edit, glad to know people found my idea worthwhile enough to comment and upvote, and I'm loving all the ideas that y'all had as a response. Bro, I want some crackheads to play sports.